A few weeks ago, we did a prediction video of how we thought the Premier League title race was going to go. Interestingly, for this game week, we said that Brighton would lose to Liverpool and that Arsenal City would be a draw, and that eventually Arsenal would finish second, Liverpool finish first, and City would finish third. As it stands, all of that is as we expected. But how did you feel about the game, Jacob?
Half an hour in, I was texting people watching Arsenal, thinking, "What are we doing?" I think. We sat back in a way we don't usually do. We didn't go and press them. And to be fair, I've watched us get embarrassed by City at the Etihad plenty of times in recent seasons. So I'm not going to complain about Arteta's tactics. Like, we went there last season, conceded 9 shots on target. This season we go there, concede 1. I can't complain. But half an hour in, I was watching this thinking, why aren't we doing what we usually do? Why aren't we pressing on a bit? Why aren't we trying to play our game? The reality is, going away to the Etihad and playing against Manchester City, I think, is the hardest fixture in world football. I don't think there's a more difficult fixture that any team can make. And I think as much as I would have loved us to try and stick it on them a bit more, there's a good chance we get chinned if we do. So
should either team have gone for it more? Like City, surely the onus was on them. If they want to win this title, that was a must-win game, was it?
I think we just cancelled each other out, though. I think they were trying to win the game. I think if you look at, I hate this stat, but the field tilt one, which shows which areas of the pitch it was played in, it was all played in our half. They were trying to come onto us. I think the one thing that we did was quite smart is we had 4 big lads in our back line and they were just heading balls out the box. Every time Haaland thought, right, I can't get anything out of the centre-back, so I'm going to try and pick on one of Arsenal's full-backs, he went over to Kiwior, went over to Ben White, and they won their headers. So I think we restricted them. I think they restricted us. It was a horrible game to watch. I'm sure you lot were bored watching it, but it's not our job.
Newsfest. Visual, what is it? Visual Benadryl. Yeah. Like, I was watching it and just thinking, oh, bro. Because you know what it is? Obviously, this is like one of the biggest games of the season. Like, we're talking about heavy hitters. It's got the whole narrative of Pep, Arteta, and it's Super Sunday. So you're thinking, on an Easter Sunday. So you're thinking, all right, I'm going to watch this. And I was actually shocked, though, at how Arsenal approached it. And I get it. They walked away with a clean sheet. No one's done that all season, which is impressive. But I just think if you're going to get the balance even a bit more, it could have been just a bit more in the favour of taking the handbrake off a bit more. Do you know what I mean? I think because I was watching the beginning of the game and I said to my dad, we were watching it together, and I said, have they just not got the ball, or are they sitting off? Like, is this a tactic? And as the game went on, I realised they're actually just sitting off. And I don't ever see Arsenal do that under Arteta. I was kind of shocked because they usually just press from the front, especially in the early stages of the game, try and win the ball back. And they were just sitting off. And I was like, this is so un-Arsenal-like. And I understand, like, there's a lot on the line in this game. But, you know, it begs the question, you know, no risk, no reward. I feel like you got to go for it, especially if you're trying to win the title. You got to take those kind of risks. And I think the way Man City have been this season, I know it's at the Etihad, but I feel like you could still stick it to them a bit, especially in certain parts of the game. And I don't think you guys did that.
I'm kind of with you, man. So I think City this season look more open than they have in years. I think defensively you can get at City in ways that you couldn't before. Then before the game, obviously Walker and Stones out. During the game, Nathan Ake comes off injured.
No Edison.
So
depleted.
So I was looking at that back line thinking, can you have a go at it? But then there's 2 things. I think, first of all, a win wouldn't have done much more for us than a loss would have done in terms of damage to us. If that makes sense? It would have been great to beat them. It would have been really, really fucking bad to lose to them. Like, if we lost to them yesterday, that's it, done. We ain't winning this title. No way, right? So there's that. The other thing is, and I know no one's going to get a violin out for me at this table when I talk about injuries, the difference between the way Arsenal have got injuries and the way teams like Newcastle got injuries, I'm going to be very careful with the way I speak to you about injuries.
Sorry,
because I know that Newcastle are 1 injury away from calling you up to play in their back line.
I'm waiting for the call, man.
But the thing that we've got is we've got players on the pitch injured. That's the difference with us. Saka weren't fit. Right? Watch Saka yesterday. He's not fit. I'm sure you could all see it watching him. He wasn't fit.
Did you see the accusations on social media that whenever he has an off game, he comes off limping?
Yeah.
Do you think there's any truth in that?
I think he's injured.
No, but I'm just asking the question. Do you think there's any truth in the fact that he...
It's chicken and egg. Like you can say, is he coming off because he's had a bad game? Or you could flip that on his head and go, was he having a bad game to his injured?
So let's talk about actually both teams, though. Who was it who didn't perform that you think should have performed?
For Arsenal,
Yeah.
In terms of players, I think there was a few players who looked nervous yesterday. I thought Saliba, off the ball, absolutely unbelievable. And I think our two centre-backs have got a shout now for being the best partnership in the world. For what they do to Haaland, and this isn't the first time, by the way. We saw it in the Community Shield. We saw it in October this season when they kept Haaland out. If I'm Haaland, mate, there's pundits talking about comparing him to League Two players today. And that's because of the job that our defence did on him. If I'm Haaland, I'm looking at this fixture and going, fuck me, I'm going to have to spend the next few years coming up against Gabriel and Saliba. I will say on the ball, though, Saliba wasn't his usual self, right? I would say that Ødegaard wasn't his usual self on the ball. I think there was a few of them who looked a little bit nervy yesterday. Havertz didn't really influence the game. Jesus was playing wide, and I don't think that's his best position.
He could have had 2 goals on another day as well.
But that's Jesus. That's the problem with Jesus. I'll be honest with you, that's the reason they fucking sold him to us, because he can't finish his dinner. That's the issue with him. And I was looking at our forward line, I was going, you need Martinelli. If you're going to sit back, if you're going to tuck in, and mate, it was 6-3-1 at times. The shape that we were playing off the ball, like we've got Tony Pulis tactics out for this game, right? But if you're going to do that, you need a threat behind. You need someone who can run behind. Now, Saka was playing on one leg yesterday, so he's not going behind. Jesus doesn't have that pace anymore. Kai Havertz isn't really that kind of player. So I know I'm not going to get any sympathy from a table full of fans who've got their own injury problems this season. You can't remember what Reece James looks like. You're nearly playing for Newcastle yourself,
like you. Yeah,
look in the mirror.
and then I know that Tottenham spent about 6 weeks playing fullbacks instead of centre backs, but if we had had Gabriel Martinelli on the pitch yesterday, that's a completely different game. The problem is we don't have any pace when he doesn't play.
But he's on the bench, so why wasn't he involved if he's on the bench?
So basically, he got a huge cut on his foot in the last game we played, which was a month ago. It's a weird injury. The cut hasn't healed properly, and the bigger issue is because he's been waiting for this cut on his foot to heal. He's had stitches and everything. He hasn't been able to run for 4 weeks since the last game. So it's as much you don't want to open that cut. It's also if you've not worked, if you've not done any running for 4 weeks, and then you come on, biggest game of the season, your hamstring's going to go if you're not careful.
This is an interesting one there about Arteta, though, because like you're saying he's playing players that aren't fit. You've got a pretty good squad. I'd say you've got a good bench option.
I think Arsenal yesterday, when I looked at the benches, I was like, this might be a better bench than what Man City have got.
This is it. But it's what I mean is that so many of them are only 60% fit. Zinchenko didn't play for Ukraine.
Trossard. Why didn't he start then if Saka's not fit?
Trossard isn't that guy in terms of being that pace behind. I love
Trossard.
Trossard didn't square it, and Arteta was furious.
And he lost an inch of pace when he first got on the ball. He had the opportunity to drive.
Slowed it down, didn't he?
He slowed it down.
Because he doesn't trust his pace. He does that every single time. If you see him get space on the left-hand side, he turns back in. He's actually been a better false nine for us than he's been a winger, just because he doesn't have that pace that Martinelli has, that Saka has. I rate Trossard so highly. And I've got to be honest, I was watching that game yesterday, watching Jesus miss chances, watching Havertz not even get on the end of crosses, and I was like, you know what? I think our best finisher in the box might actually be Leandro Trossard.
I agree.
But he just doesn't have the pace. Yeah. So I agree with you. We got a great bench. The problem is most of them are only 60% fit. Jesus didn't go on the international break. He didn't go with Brazil because he wasn't fit. Zinchenko didn't get on the pitch. Tomiyasu didn't play for Japan. So many of these players
came home.
Saka came home, and there was all this chat of, oh, this is it. Arsenal are doing what Ferguson used to do. They're pulling their players out of international breaks. They were injured. Yeah. All of them.
They were injured.
Mate, he's not.
What about City though?
I mean, he was too injured to play for England, but he weren't too injured to start.
But watching that game, and we all know what a good Bukayo Saka looks like. That wasn't a fit Bukayo Saka.
But does that just come to the surface when he has an under par performance, like you were saying? Because haven't we said that for ages? Haven't we said all season he looks like he needs a rest?
Well, he came back from Dubai. We had the Dubai winter break in January. He came back from that and he was on fire. He came back from that. He was skinning people for fun. He was skipping past people. He was scoring. I think he was on at one point like a goal or an assist every single game.
I'm the Spurs man, so I'm gonna sound like the hater, right? But there's a couple things I want to address, right? Saka's not going to be able to be at his best if he's not playing his usual game, which is he's been instructed, it looks like in this game, to sit back with the rest of the team and double up on certain players and close things down. So how are we going to see the best of Saka if he's not where he's supposed to be, which is in the final third? A lot of those players were just sitting back, not playing their usual game that we see them. That's the first thing. The second thing on this Saliba and Gabriel thing, definitely I think they're one of the best centre-back parents in the world right now. But I don't think that game is an example of it, because even when, and I saw the stats pop up on the screen, and that probably counters what I'm about to say, but they gave Saliba man of the match, right? And they showed the Jules one and all of this stuff. But I was looking at it like, if you've got your whole fucking team sitting in front of you, of course, I didn't even really see Gabriel or Saliba in the game, because they had their whole midfield in front of them. The forward players were in front. They couldn't even get past the first set of players to get to them.
It's the same reason people rave about Harry Maguire when he plays in that style of game. It suits him and it makes him look better. What I'm not suggesting for 1 second that Maguire is comparable. But what I'm saying is if you've got a Rolls Royce who's way more talented than Maguire, but you're playing a Maguire style game, of course he's going to look at his best.
In that game, if Arsenal were playing their usual game and then it was like not going back and forth, it would never be like that. But if Haaland was running in behind and they were actually having to defend, like one-on-one defending and things like that, then I would have been like, okay, I get it. But the whole team was sitting back and Man City were just going through the middle. Every time they were trying to like play intricate balls through the middle, and I was thinking, just get the ball wide and try and whip it in. They didn't whip it in that much.
I thought they played a few crosses.
But that was when Doku and Grealish came on. That's when they started to actually try and attack it from the wings. But before that, when it was Bernardo Silva, I was just like, everything you're doing is going through the middle. That's not going to work.
Well, let's be honest. Every team goes to the Etihad and tries to stop City scoring against them, right? Every team goes to the Etihad and tries to not concede goals. That was the first time in 57 games at home that Man City didn't score a goal.
Yeah.
So let's hear a bit of credit for those defenders.
Well, Liverpool don't do that though. And Liverpool, that's what I rate about Klopp and that. Liverpool go there just to play their game.
And Liverpool can see goal.
Yeah, they do. But on the Liverpool thing, you said earlier in this chat about risk reward, right?
Yes.
You know, you've got to, if you want to be champions, you've got to run the risk of falling flat on your face. And this game gave me a appreciation for Jurgen Klopp. Because he pisses me off.
Same.
I'm watching this game thinking, this is what we've got to look forward to next season.
Oh yeah, mate.
Fuck me. Like, tactically, it's a chess match, but I don't want to watch chess. I want to watch football. And with Klopp, I do love the fact that it is knockout, kill or be killed. And this was a bit...
They go for it. No matter what players are playing, Liverpool go for it especially against City. That's why we've seen such classic games between them over the last few seasons. And I expected Arteta to take that risk and do it at
you're a Pep boy.
Yeah.
Do you not think Pep should have done more, should have went for it more? And now we're looking at the signings he's made. He's giving the riot act to Grealish after Fulham. We know the last time he did that to Raheem Sterling, it was curtains for him at the end of that season. Doku, at the start of the season, I compared him to Alan St. Maximin. Got a bit laughed at because he was wearing a Man City shirt. Don't think it's as funny now. I actually think he's looking a lot like Alan St. Maximin.
No, end product.
If we're looking at the end product and the fancy dribbling, is very similar to
Street
that.
baller.
And this is after the fact you let go of Cole Palmer, shocking transfer, Pep Guardiola. You're now also letting go of the two lads who you let go, Mahrez and Gundogan, who would have been key in games like this. If you have Mahrez, Gundogan and Cole Palmer available for this game, they probably all start, arguably, right?
One slipped under the radar there. You haven't even mentioned Gvardiol when you're talking about the signings he's brought in. He was brought in for massive money.
Most expensive paid defender or whatever it was. Yeah.
And if we're going on... but if we're going on that, he hasn't hit the ground running.
Not yet, but you can see the quality there for such a young age. But he looks older than he is.
But this is a must-win game, Craig, and Pep didn't win it, and he didn't even come close to winning it.
Yeah, I know, but I honestly don't think he anticipated Arsenal doing what they did. They have not done that. I haven't seen them do that this season.
They haven't, but they did still have the better chances. Like, if anyone was going to win the game, you'd say the more clear-cut chances came to... I thought City, from what I saw, were creatively were really poor yesterday.
Yeah, I think we stopped. We stopped him. I think you have to give City a bit of credit though. Like, City did what they wanted to do. They controlled that game. They pinned us back. It's like that boxing phrase you say, everyone's got a plan till you get punched in the face. Everyone's got a game plan to go to Manchester City until you get there, until they've got the best technical footballers on the planet, and they just dominate space.
But you weren't really pressing though. That's the only thing, because I was watching it, looking to see if when they had the ball, if you were actually going to press, and it was more like, nah, we're organised, have the ball. That's how it felt.
And it worked.
No, it definitely worked for you to get that point and keep a clean sheet for sure. But and going back to the best chances, I agree. Arsenal probably did have overall the better chances, but Haaland had that one chance where he completely missed the ball. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Where it came across, and that could have just been him getting a shot on target or putting the ball across for, I can't remember who was in the box, and he just completely missed it. And that was like, what the fuck?
You know, we're questioning the tactics of Arteta and how many defenders they have. Like, you look at City's team; they started off very defensively. They brought in Kovacic as a DM. We're counting how many DMs were on the pitch. It was a lot. We got to talk about how Pep wasn't going for it as well, right? As much as we've been slagging off Arsenal and that they didn't sort of do what they needed to do to win the game, Man City also had the same blame.
Well, but how can we say that if all of the football more or less was played in Arsenal's side of the pitch?
Absolutely, but I'm just saying in terms of the team selection, right? It's at the Etihad. It's Pep Guardiola. We're talking about a treble-winning Man City team. We're talking about one of the best teams we've seen in a very long time, and they're not going for the game. They're not going. They're not doing what they need to do to win.
But out of the two teams, it was obvious City were going for it more. Maybe home court advantage, cool. But that just shows Pep respects Arteta and Arsenal. He still needs to move. This is still Arsenal that have blown teams away.
But
6-0, 5-0.
To counter that,
you've got to move with a bit of caution.
To counter that, though, would Jurgen Klopp have set his team up in the same way?
As
yesterday
Guardiola did.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think it's less about how he set the team up. I think it's about what the team were doing. What I saw an awful lot of from Man City yesterday is they were penning us in. They were getting us in and around our box, but they didn't want to play the final ball. They were going around the houses, back again, up to Rodri. I thought Rico Lewis, by the way, was class when he came on. He deserves a bit of fucking flowers because he was brilliant when he came on the pitch. But there was an awful lot of them not wanting to play that ball because what I think was happening was they were a bit scared because especially towards the second half of the first half, we were starting to transition on them. We were starting to go, you know what, if this is all you've got, we're willing to actually go a bit. We're actually willing to, when we get it, we're going to transition as quick as we could without proper pace on the pitch. So whilst City dominated space, I didn't see many attempts at through balls. I didn't see many attempts to release Haaland quickly. And I think a lot of that is where we congested the space as well. But I think a lot of
it went wide.
But I think a lot of it, and I think if there's a criticism of Pep, I don't know why he waited so long to switch things up. So we spoke a lot about how we contained Haaland. Let's be honest, we've been speaking for a long time about Foden being one of the players of the season. I didn't see much of Phil Foden today. And let's give a little bit of credit to Ben White as well, who's had 2 weeks of people like yourself, Josh, with your Nigel Farage flag on your back, telling him he's not a patriot.
Got told about that in the comments as well.
Like Ben White, mate, he signed a new contract with Arsenal and all the press around him has been about how he won't play for England and no one likes him and he fell out with Steve Holland, blah, 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 blah. He comes in, bear in mind, he's another one. He was completely plastered up in training. He was covered in bandages. He wasn't 100% fit for this.
We're about to say plastered in fake tan, but
well, he might have been as well.
I don't want to hear these half-hearted injury claims. Like some of us have actually got players in
the injuries is a bad point.
Okay, but the point I'm making is he kept Foden out of the game. Point. He kept Foden out of the game, and I think credit to him. One player who I think was really good for City yesterday was Bernardo Silva. Yeah. I was texting you lads saying he had Kiwior on toast. I do not know how I let you get away with not having Bernardo Silva as one of the best midfielders in the league, by the way. But we had this conversation the other day. He's unbelievable. But mate, you called it, Brian. This is going to be what these big title head-to-heads look like for the next few years. It is going to be chess matches with Arteta and Pep.
Can we talk about how this impacts the title race then? Because obviously Liverpool went and won, and you know, to be fair, Brighton scored a bit too early, arguably. A good goal from Welbeck. And I was thinking, like, watching that game, like, God, everyone expects Brighton to maintain the levels and giving De Zerbi a lot of grief, but you're looking at how many good players that have been ripped out of that side. And you've got Danny Welbeck, who averages a goal in every 5 games as your main striker. Like, fuck me. How
and he's been your main striker for 3 seasons.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And but no, Liverpool look good. But is this advantage Liverpool now? They're top of the league on 67, Arsenal 65, and Man City 64. So, you know, this is going to be fucking hard for City to claw back.
You've got to say, coming out of this game, Liverpool are in pole position to win the league. Do you know what? It's funny. There's this supercomputer that Opta used to predict the league table. Liverpool are now 47% likely to win it.
Wow.
So
I need to see their fixtures though.
Like, this is the thing. We were talking about
fixtures in our opinion. We went through this a few weeks back, and it was quite clear that Liverpool did have the best fixture.
Yeah.
Can I read them out? Can I just quickly read out Liverpool's fixture? See if you can tell me where they drop points. So, Premier League, Sheffield United at home, next.
Win.
Man United away.
Possibly.
Win.
Probably win.
Possibly drop him.
Palace at home.
Win.
Then Fulham away.
Win.
Everton away.
Win.
West Ham away.
Win.
Tottenham at home.
Win.
Villa away.
Tricky one.
There's a couple
two games.
That could be a draw.
If they come through Tottenham and Villa with 6 points,
we've got a massive say in the title. You know, we've got Arsenal, City, and Liverpool in a row.
What everyone's saying is the harder games for Liverpool tend to be towards the end of the season. Like their hardest games.
Wolves at home final game, by the way. I think we can call that a Liverpool win. But I agree with you, mate. I think it's that Villa and Tottenham games. And also, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with the Europa League, but they don't have the difference between Europa League and obviously I know a bit about it because Arsenal have been in it for about 7 fucking years, right? But the difference is, like, especially for Arsenal, I look at us. We've got Bayern Munich coming in 9 days' time. Emotionally, it's massive. Emotionally, that's huge. 2 legs there, and if we get through that, which I think we might, there's a good chance of a City or Madrid, right? So That is huge fixtures that we have to deal with in the middle of this. Meanwhile, Liverpool have got Atalanta. After that, they might, it's not the same.
Not as draining mentally.
It's not as draining mentally.
They're about the same level as Bayern Munich this season, Atlanta.
Well, mate, and like City have got the experience of doing this as well. I think that's one advantage City have got. I look at the three teams. I think we've been saying it for a while, but Liverpool are just they're riding a train of vibes at the moment. And also, we should give them some credit. I think they've got the best attack in the league. Liverpool, they've got the most depth. They've got so many different players who can come up with a goal. That Brighton game yesterday, they were about a toenail away from Diaz scoring a beautiful goal, which was set up by Salah. Right? They've got so much attack.
You think they got the best attack?
I think Liverpool have, yeah. Out of the three teams,
when I'm watching them, they're definitely the most entertaining to watch.
Yeah, they are. They are.
But they are definitely the most vulnerable at the back because of that knockout or being knocked out style. They give away chances. And when I'm watching Brighton, I'm thinking, fuck me, this is reminiscent of when I was watching Newcastle play them. Then we were getting in behind a lot. It's just whether or not the striker you're playing that day is not having a good game. And Welbeck, as much as he scored early, it's Welbeck. What can you expect?
You have to say, though, you look at that back line, like Kwanzaa and Bradley, they've started 8 games in the league, but, both of them, respectively. They've been absolutely brilliant. They've come in. We're talking about squads, right? And we said earlier on, Arsenal have the better squad in terms of the bench options. Some of this crop that they've got coming through at Liverpool are absolutely brilliant. And I have to say, like, when you're talking about injuries, perhaps Liverpool is the one you're most scared about the running. If you think about their squad, if they get a couple of injuries now on top of all the injuries that they have had, you're going, I'm not sure if they can quite do it. Yeah, if he gets injured.
He worries me a little bit, though, because he does actually remind me of Trent, and possibly that's because of Klopp's tactics and telling him to get forward, and
right,
because there was space in behind, and Brighton were targeting that, and it was eerily similar to the old Trent Alexander-Arnold being exposed, when in reality I think it was.
But he's been so good going forward as well. Like, he brings something else that he's been a really, really good player. So you have to say, like, I think squad-wise, if you're ranking the squads, you probably say City have got the best squad in the league, then Arsenal, then Liverpool. Like you would rank it in that way. But arguably, we're all saying around the table, I think we can all agree actually that Liverpool are in
they're favourites right now.
I think they are. But then City have just got the experience of doing it. City have got the experience of managing fixtures like this. I still think City have got players who could go on another level. I think De Bruyne has been okay since coming back from injury, but he could just go on a streak where he just scores 5 goals in.
But are you expecting that? What, let me know around the table here. Is anyone expecting City to come on strong? Because again, as I said earlier, I feel like Pep's fucked it this season.
They needed to win yesterday.
You think Pep's fucked?
I said Pep's fucked it at the start of the season. This isn't a new opinion, but I think letting go of those two players in
Gundogan,
Palmer,
Gundogan, Palmer, and also Mahrez. 3 absolutely match-winning players, and having Doku come in, who is not that. Kovacic yesterday, they're not creating enough for the striker. I think a lot of people are having a go at Haaland, and I understand Haaland's a frustrating footballer to watch, but the reason he scored a lot more last season is because he had better players around him. In my opinion,
you think so?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone could tell me that City wouldn't be in a better position if they had have had Cole Palmer this season.
I think that's a mental transfer.
But in all fairness, we're saying this in retrospect right now. Like, when you at the beginning of the season, when you bring in Doku, who was like touted as a massive talent, and obviously everyone knows Cole Palmer was good. But that wasn't a mad thing to do at that period in time.
It wasn't. We didn't know that. We weren't Pep who saw him on the training.
Is this Craig Mitch here? Craig Mitch, Pep Guardiola's biggest fan ever, who says he's the genius. So just to be clear, Pep Guardiola had at least a year of watching Cole Palmer in training. This is apparently one of the smartest football managers ever. Yeah. And you couldn't watch that guy with all your intelligence and know that I need to keep a hold of you. The fact that he allowed that guy to walk out that...
that is my point. My point is, he probably knew how talented he was, but my point is, I don't think even Cole Palmer foresaw himself having the season he's having right now.
I think he did.
I think he did.
That's why he backed himself.
30 goal contribution.
Cole Palmer, look at any of the interviews he's done this season, and actually even previous to that, he's backed his quality.
Really?
That's why he got the opportunity. It was like, you either want to stay on the bench and break your way in, or you're ready now in your head and you want to go somewhere else. And he's like, I'm ready fucking now, mate. Now. So I think Pep has absolutely dropped the bollock, because if you look at Cole Palmer's age, his goal contributions, we're looking at a star in the making here, and one that, everyone gives Jose Mourinho stick for Mo Salah, Kevin De Bruyne. If you look at what happened though, he didn't really have an option, because he said, look, you're not quite ready yet, and he is in a very similar situation to Pep. And all I'm saying is, Pep deserves criticism too sometimes.
Of course, but then let me put a thing forward. If they go on to win the league, and the Champions League, or just win the league or win the Champions League, he hasn't dropped the ball, has he?
Yeah, but then do you know
He's gone on to do what he was supposed to do.
It's a very valid point. It's very, very valid. But you have been saying that all season now.
What?
If they go on to do this, if they go on to do this. And there's obviously, you're right to still be saying it because, they're 3 points behind in the
with 9 games to go.
Something like that. But what I'm saying is, surely now you're starting to realise as the weeks go on, and as Man City aren't clawing back this ground, like, they needed to beat Liverpool. They needed to beat Arsenal. Yeah. Like, as these things aren't happening, surely it's starting to realise.
We're talking about very good teams, though.
But we're also talking about a manager, Pep, who people act like his tactics are always the be-all and end-all, and he's not different to every other manager. That he needs match winners, and you gave away Mahrez, match winner, Gundogan, match winner, and Cole Palmer, clearly a match winner. And what have you got? How many match winners are really in that City side now? If we're really talking about, like, I think Phil Foden's a match winner. I think Haaland's a match winner.
Kevin De Bruyne.
De Bruyne, if he can regain his fitness to the level that he once was, is definitely a match winner.
He looked good in that second half.
But you've let 3 go in one summer, and who the fuck did you replace them with?
Can I also add? You had a player walk into Manchester City for 100 million quid, who I think all of us would have called a match winner, and he ain't anymore. What's happened to Jack Grealish?
Yeah, but he's been injured a lot, though.
He's been injured a lot, but like everyone's been injured a lot, mate. If I'm
it's not the player he was supposed to be.
If I'm not getting any tears for Arsenal's injuries, I'm not letting Grealish. Like, mate, I think we all look at Grealish and we all look at that and go, I don't know if Pep fancies you, and I certainly don't think Pep is allowing you to be the match winner you can be, and that's my issue with that.
No one's blaming the player. No one's really looking at the player with Grealish. Everyone's looking at it going, yeah, it just don't work with you and Pep, does it? And we've seen the track record there of, players that have that similar sort of flair to Grealish maybe not flourishing in a Man City team. Now, that's not as a massive detriment to Man City because they'll go on and win Champions Leagues and league titles regardless. But that's another one where you look at that and go, well, that doesn't work.
No, it don't. And look, I mean, I know we're going to get comments saying, why don't you get a Man City fan at the table? We kind of got one, so let's be honest with ourselves. Do you know what I mean? So I don't want us to sit slagging them all off, right? Because, by the way, Craig's bang on. Like, they're not in a bad position. Yeah. And if I was going to stick money on any of these teams to win it, I'd still maybe stick it on City rather than Liverpool just because they've got the track record of doing it. But what I was going to say was, I think Liverpool have got the best attacking depth, and I think they've got the vibes, they've got the narrative around Klopp, leaving at the end of the season, this being like his final title. I think Arsenal have got the form. I think since Christmas we've been the best informed team in the league, and numbers respect that. I think City have got the know-how. I think City have got they've done it before, and they've just got players who I think could step up. They've got so many. Like, people are having conversations about Haaland. He could step up and score in every single game. We've been talking about Foden. He could do the same. De Bruyne, I think he could do that. There's layers to this City team. I think Arsenal are in 4th or 5th gear right now. I think Liverpool are the same. I think City are in 2nd. And I think they could go
and
through
they're still right there. It's scary.
Yeah. Now, the question we're all asking around the table.
In comparison to what, though? Last season?
Yeah.
Because that exactly plays into what I've been saying is they're not the same team as last season. They're literally not.
But then this is the question, Brian. Have they got worse? Or are they pacing themselves?
I think they've definitely got worse.
There's a lot of football to be played yet.
It's not like they're a bad side.
I think if you're pacing yourself, you still go out like against Arsenal and try and win that game.
Or win it. But they didn't try and win it. What are you supposed to do if a team of Arsenal's quality, who when they play their normal football has an amazing defence, by the way, right?
Best defence in Europe.
Okay, so statistically the best defence in Europe when they play their normal game. Then you take that and then put 2 banks of 4 and stick like 2 attacking players in front of them. It's going to be hard to break that down. Like, we're acting like they were just supposed to break it down easily. I don't get that.
I think for me, though, and I go back to my original point, it's the setup of Pep, right? He's played that game. He's played 4 centre-backs. Bear in mind, a lot of those are forced with the injuries.
Rico Lewis came on.
Rico came on very quickly, but he started the game with 4 centre-backs. And he was playing Guardiola. He was playing Guardiola as a left wing-back.
So who else was he supposed to put there?
And then he played 2 defensive midfielders. Like, for me, I'm just thinking about how Pep would have potentially have done this maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Pep would have absolutely gone for that game. And he wins it, but he sets up in a very different way. He plays attacking players and goes for it. And I just think both of the teams played almost sometimes with a bit of a handbrake on in that game. And I feel that was a bit of a shame, because now what I think is that Liverpool are in the pole position.
There is no way.
The biggest losers are both the teams that played yesterday. Liverpool are laughing at that, right?
I don't know. 9 games left, 3-point gap. That's nothing. That's nothing. 3 points with 9 games to play.
You know what?
Nothing. It could change at any moment.
Have one team ahead of you and you know their fixtures and it's just you and them, I agree. But you've now got City have now they've never been in this position for a long time where they're chasing not one but two sides who you're now relying on two sides to fuck up, not just one. And that's the thing that for me means, and I haven't thought this whole season that City were going to win the league, but now I'm really like, I very much doubt it. I think they've lifted themselves with a mountain.
But in one weekend of fixtures, and you're right, two teams it is definitely harder to compete with, but one weekend of fixtures, this could all change. All it takes is another draw for Liverpool or Arsenal, and then it swings.
Do you know, with the mental strength that we're seeing from Arsenal this season that we didn't really see last season, the controlling games in a way that they never did, and then Liverpool having the Klopps last season factor and playing full throttle, like every game, I'm like, where is this energy coming from? It's insane. For me to expect both of these teams to mentally collapse is not realistic. So that's why I just don't see City win.
And as much as you can say it can all swing, it can swing the other way and all. Could be 6 points by the end of next week.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's that vulnerable position that there's just sort of, you were saying you'd still probably maybe stick your money on City right now. I wouldn't.
Really?
I wouldn't, no.
So who do you take your money on?
Right now, Liverpool, of course, they're top. But what I'm saying is the feeling, and this isn't very analytical, but the feeling I'm getting at the minute is City ain't winning this, and I've had that feeling for a long time.
If they don't beat Aston Villa, so bear in mind, like Aston Villa is not it is a very difficult game to come up next. If they don't get 3 points in that game, it could be gone. It could be, because they're going to, like, Liverpool are going to destroy Sheffield United. Arsenal, you've got Luton next.
At home. That's not an easy fixture, by the way.
None of these are guaranteed. I don't know why we're looking at the Premier League. And like, obviously we look at certain fixtures and think winnable, but in the Premier League, none of this stuff is guaranteed.
And I will
nothing is guaranteed.
I will just say, because there's a lot of conversation about that being a boring game yesterday, and I agree it's a boring game, but as an Arsenal fan, if you found that boring, it's not my team's responsibility to entertain people on a Sunday. And we were pretty entertaining when we used to lose to Man City every fucking time. Go and watch a movie if you want.
No, you found that boring though.
No, I did.
If you're in a title race, it's totally different.
But what I'm saying is, we that might have been a boring fixture. This is the most entertaining title race for years. This is the best title race for years, and these are three teams, by the way, that I think are of serious quality. These are three teams that I think, if they were in a different era, would all walk this league. The level of quality we've got now, I think these are serious.
I want to round this up, lads, because we do have other things to talk about. And by the way, being in entertaining games isn't always good. Let me tell you. We will get onto that. Can we just go one by one, based on the Man City chat? Who here thinks Man City are now still the favourites to go on? Anyone think they're the favourites?
No, I wouldn't say they're the favourites anymore.
I don't know if there is a favourite. Is there a favourite?
Well, who's the most likely in your minds? Anyone pick Man City as the most likely team?
What, to win the league?
Yeah, from now.
Right now?
Yeah.
My head still says because of the experience. But by the way, I'm not. It's so tight.
Actually, you know what?
It's a 1%. It's a 1% for Man City.
I'm going to stick my head on the chopping block. I believe in Pep. And it's only because of that one man.
I mean, to be fair to him, this is the most competition he's had, and now for 4 in a row, it bloody should be.